people just a lot of times it's like they don't want to do the work because it's uncomfortable. Because what if people think you're annoying or salesy? But it's like, well, that's what it takes. Like it's just pure math and
Yeah,
statistics. It's like
yeah,
you cannot go wrong if you're talking to a bunch of people. It's like, did you talk
yeah.
to 2 people today or did you talk to 20? Who's gonna build faster? The guy who talked to 20.
Scaled, the platform you need.
Welcome to another episode of the Skilled Ed Show, where we speak with entrepreneurs, CEOs, service based business owners about how to increase cash flow, profits using fully automated AI marketing systems while repaying credit and securing the funding they need to scale their operations. In this show, we don't just talk about business, we dive deep into the human side of success, exploring the four core domains that shape who we are: our body, being, balance, and business. So sit back as we get ready for an insightful conversation that goes beyond profits and systems into purpose, mindset, and meaning. Today, I'm thrilled to have Brittany Hall with us. Brittany is a co-founder and the CEO of the revenue agency, where she helps coaches, personal brands, and business owners to reach their goals, their revenue, impact, and with more than a decade of leadership experience, including building a 100-person team in the health and wellness space by the age of 30. Brittany has a proven track record of turning vision into results. She is known for her sharp business instincts, creative strategy, and her commitment to building brands with integrity, building both inspiration and actionable insights to every conversation. Whether she's coaching high level clients or co-hosting the revenue agency podcast with her husband Ryan, Brittany's mission is simple: to help people to scale their business without losing sight of their values. Welcome to the show, Brittany. It's a
Thank
pleasure.
you. Wow. Thank you for that introduction. It's
Mhm.
incredible. I was
Well,
like, wow, I did do all that.
it's a pleasure to have you here. So let's start with your journey. How did you first get into the marketing and business growth industry?
Yeah. So my parents are entrepreneurs. So I feel like business was always just a part of our life growing up. And, I got to be just kind of on the sidelines of that and sometimes like right in it with them. So business was always something that was a big piece of my life from childhood. And then it just seems like I always had a love for it. And I really always understood it, probably from growing up that way. And so all of my jobs that I had, I was like, how can I help this business grow? How can I be a great person within and help with customer service, just all that stuff. And then when we transitioned into opening this company, the revenue agency, it really came from experience in the coaching industry, building my own business. But then in the personal development space, really noticing that there's people who really want to help people. And then there's a lot of people who don't care about the people, but they want to make money. And so I really wanted to go help the people that were really great and scale their business and help them become more known. So that's kind of where that whole vision started, was wanting to work with the good guys.
Yeah, so was it ever something that you envisioned for yourself?
No, no. I laugh, because I have 2 kids and my daughter is gonna be in high school next year, and she goes, "I just
Mhm.
don't know what I wanna do with my life." And I said, "Well, I'm almost 40 and I'm just now figuring it out?" But
Yeah.
I think that if you look back at the different things I've done, they were all a stepping stone and a skill builder to do what I'm doing now. So I do think that it was all a part of a divine plan, but no, I didn't. Otherwise, I would have gotten my degree in marketing, but my degree's in human biology. It's like I had no idea that I was going to end up doing this.
Hmm. Yeah, so I see you've worked with a lot of coaches, business owners. What's it about the marketing industry and the business growth industry that really draws you in?
I love that the principles of business growth apply, like, across all industries. There's certain things with systems and operations that always have to be present in a business to make it run efficiently. But what I love about what I get to do is there's a creative aspect to it where we get to create new programs. We get to rebrand companies and make them really pretty and help with content and really bringing people's stories to life. So there's that like that mechanical piece with the systems, which I really enjoy because I want to like reorganize and make sure everything works well. But then I love diving in with a human and really learning about them and helping bring their message to the world. Like that's a really cool thing to get to do.
That's interesting. So, what's the most rewarding part of working with executive teams?
Yeah, well gosh, I really probably I love when I'm working with a team and you can see that something clicks. And they're like, especially it's funny because I work a lot with the founders of the companies, like the main people. But then
Mhm.
it's really fun to get to work with like their assistants or their like little admins and stuff, like younger people and they're just starting their skill building journey and understanding things. And when I get to work with them and help them understand like it's almost like I'm helping bring them up in the industry, which is really fun. But I love with the founders when we have an idea and something comes to life and you can tell it just sparks a fire inside of them and they're like and then they just wanna take it and run with it. Like, that's really cool.
Right. So, what unique perspective do you bring to your clients?
Yeah, I think that it's funny. I don't it's kind of a gift that I have, and I joke that it's probably because I grew up with a love of shopping. But with my mom, we were like it was like an extreme sport for us. But I think I really have a knack for understanding how to word something and then how to make it look so that people want to buy it and how to price things appropriately so that you can sell it because you can take something like a program or a book or a course or whatever and call it something, design it and set a price on it and it won't interest anybody and then you're like you feel like a failure but it's like no, you're just something was off, like within the whole formula. So for some reason that comes really natural to me, like just the whole formula and how it's gonna sell.
Hmm. So, now that we've talked about your professional journey, I'd like to go deeper into areas that shape not just our careers, but our lives as a whole. And I think that exploring these things gives us a more complete picture of success. As entrepreneurs, we carry a lot mentally, emotionally, and physically. So, how do you prioritize your physical health, and how has it impacted your work?
Yeah, that's a great question because I feel like I do a pretty good job of it now, but in the past I didn't. I let work kind of run my life versus me running my life, and being the creator of my life. But as of now, how I do that is I mean, me and my husband, we're partners in business, partners in life. And so we're pretty good at like keeping each other accountable or just like on track. So I think that having like some sort of accountability system and somebody that you're doing stuff with is really important to have that support. But we prioritize working out. And we try to do yoga a couple times a week. We lift weights together, or like he'll do his thing and I'll do mine. But after we take our kids to school, we always go to the gym. And that is something that we take care of before business starts. And so I just structure my day in a way where the calendar is blocked, and then, you got to have your nutrition and your food and all that stuff dialed in, which can be challenging. And I'm not perfect at it by any means. But, in the past, when I was just running rampant, it was like I was eating for convenience. I was on the road and I actually gained weight when I was running operations in another company. And this last year, I'm really thankful to say that I have, gotten back down to a healthy weight and just being patient with yourself, and just doing the steps. And I mean, there's so much that goes into physical health, even, I think working out and nutrition, but then also making sure that you're not totally stressed all the time because then you want to eat sugar and drink, and none of that helps you, you
That's
know?
true. Yeah.
So, yeah, I think sometimes we just gotta get really honest with ourselves and what we're currently doing and then say, "Okay, this isn't working for me anymore."
That's true. So,
Yeah.
how has there ever been a time that your health directly affected your performance or your decision making?
Oh, for sure, for sure. So, when I was working with that other company, and I mean, it was such a grind, like 7 days a week, and it was really for a year of my life, and I was traveling multiple times, a month, And like I said, I gained weight. And I know this does this for men too, but I'll speak as a woman because, that's what I am. But it hurt my confidence. And I didn't feel as confident in outfits. And it wasn't fun, to like get dressed. And I didn't feel like, and I think when we lose confidence, we don't sell at as high of a level. We don't interact like we would if we were feeling really great about how we looked. And so I just think that affected me a lot. I don't know how much it really, like, slowed me down because I was just so driven, but, I noticed I started not showing up on social media as much, because I just didn't wanna, like, put myself out there.
Mm.
So, yeah, I think that that's really for sure how it affected me.
Okay, so would you say that spirituality or a connection to something deeper or greater plays a role in how you make decisions?
Absolutely. Yeah, I'm a big believer in meditation, but even just, like, getting quiet and tuning things out and allowing space to really connect to, whatever it is for people. I refer to that as God, my
Yeah.
creator, that light, that spirit, and it's really incredible when you start to practice that and you can just quiet your mind, and then especially if you're struggling with something or if you're like, "I'm not sure if this is the right decision," if you take time to get quiet, it will come to you and you will feel it, like, in your body. I think that we almost have, like, a physical reaction, like, yes or no
Yeah.
to certain things, and that's what when people go, "Oh, I need to think about it, I need to think about it." It's like, you don't really have to actually think about it for that long. I think when you're connected, you get a gut feeling and you know
Right.
what you should do. You're just kinda delaying the
Yeah.
decision, and so I know for me, it's huge, like,
Mm.
on little stuff and on big stuff, but it's like when I'm connected, man, I can move fast because it's just like you're working with the laws of the universe in, like, the best, most efficient way.
That's true. Yeah, so balancing business and personal life can be tough, especially when you're in a high demand industry like yours. How do you maintain strong relationships with those closest to you?
Yeah, I think that the probably the most important people in my life are definitely my husband and my kids, and then, of course, like, my parents, and I have a couple close friends, but, I think it's all in how we structure our day. I think that it's a myth that we are supposed to be busy 24/7 with our work. I don't think we're meant to do that. I think that we can definitely work during certain hours of the day, and if we're
Mm.
intentional, we can get a lot done. But then you have that other time, right? Like my morning is dedicated to getting my kids up for school, getting them off, and not being distracted, getting them out the door, working out, like I said. Me and my husband just went and had lunch with our son. It's like we carve out time for that. And then,
Right.
on the weekends and stuff. But I also talking about, like, friendships and stuff, I don't believe in just packing my social calendar either. That doesn't work for me. I don't like, I can be extroverted, but I'm kind of a mix? So I think it's really important to know yourself and
Right.
what fills you up, and if I have my calendar packed all the time, I'm totally drained, and then I can't
Exactly.
show up well for the people in my life. So yeah, I think that structure and boundaries with your calendar are really, really important. And we do have time for all the things that we want to do. We just need to be better at managing it.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, so is there any advice that you give to business owners, on finding and protecting balance between work and personal life?
You want predictable growth. You think you can scale a real business by duct taping tools together and praying that the team keeps up. You're right.
Try this new tool. Actually, don't. Because that's the fastest way to burn out your people, your systems, and your sanity. Let me be real with you for a second. You don't need a new tool. You don't need another dashboard, another automation hack, or another quick fix. Because growing a business without real operational leverage feels like running a marathon on a wet cement. You're juggling Slack threads, email reminders, spreadsheets, quick fixes, and somehow still hoping they're not embraced. You're right. One missed follow-up, one forgotten task, one handoff that slips, and suddenly your entire pipeline feels like a Jenga tower in an earthquake. For some of you, projects are moving, but workflow feels fragile. Everyone is busy, yet nothing is truly under control. For others, the chaos is in the pipeline. Leads get lost, follow-up is inconsistent, revenue swings up and down like a jangulator, and growth depends entirely on efforts instead of structure. This isn't because you're lazy or unfocused or undisciplined. It's because you're trying to scale output on top of manual work, heroic effort, and mental load. That friction you're feeling, it's the system telling you this doesn't scale. And here's the most part that founders don't want to admit. If results only happen when people push harder, you don't have leverage. You have strain dressed up as progress. And every month you delay fixing those leverage gaps, that friction compounds. The workload grows heavier, decision slows down, execution becomes harder to trust. Here's the shift. Stop trying to work harder through the problem and start trying to design a business that produces results even when no one's scrambling. That means treating your operations, your pipeline, and execution like a real system, not a collection of good intentions and checklists. You get what I mean? The goal is simple. Fewer moving parts, cleaner execution, and stronger throughput. That's why we created the AI Systems Review. Not a pitch, not a gimmick, not another shiny tactic. It's a clarity session where we map out how your pipeline, delivery, and financial signals actually flow across the business. We expose where leverage is leaking, where work is carried out by effort instead of structure, and where automation and systems can turn chaos into predictable momentum. We have run this review between businesses that are doing between $200,000 and $1 million, and the same pattern appears every single time. Once the friction points are visible, leverage becomes buildable. For business owners who want to claim clarity and control, and for founders who want to scale output, compounding performance, this is where both align. You get what I mean? You walk away with a practical roadmap, clear priorities, and a realistic path to growth that doesn't rely on pushing harder every quarter. Whether you choose to implement with us or not, you've got a choice. Here's the choice. Keep building on manual effort, memory, and best intentions, and hope that nothing breaks. Or build a business that grows with structure, leverage, and predictable outcomes. Unless you genuinely believe that your business couldn't perform any better than it does today, click the link to book a session.
Yeah, absolutely. I would say to sit down and really take a look at, think about what your priorities really are. And I always say that you can look at your schedule and your bank account and you will know what your priorities are, because where we spend our time and where we spend our money, that's the things that we find value in, you know? So you need to look at that and go, is this what I want to be prioritizing? Like, you might look at your bank account and go, holy crap, we're eating out all the time, but I say I want to get healthy. Like, these don't align with each other. So
Yeah.
I would do that, and then I would prioritize stuff and then go block them in your calendar.
It's actually hilarious.
Yes, and then, make it like it's a non-negotiable. Like, my yoga class, it doesn't matter if people know that I'm spending that time in yoga, it's none of their business, but it's like, that's an important meeting I have with myself, you know?
Yeah.
It's like, that makes me better for everybody, so that and I remember when I was building my health coaching business, that you referred to in the beginning, that I built it to over 100 coaches, and that was a big deal. Um, I was grinding so hard that I started to not spend time with our family in the evenings because I was booking calls. And so what I did is I started blocking out a half an hour every night, and it was family time, and none of us could have devices, and it was non-negotiable. And my kids were little, they were like toddlers, and we would either play a game or watch TV, like a show together, whatever they wanted to do. And they started to look forward to that time so much. And what I noticed was being intentional with my calendar in that way created a totally different dynamic, my kids and our family. And so that's really all it is getting really clear on the priorities and just
But
put it on the calendar. I mean, I live and die by my Google Calendar. Like, yeah.
It's so important. So finally, let's talk about business, the area where you've put in so much time, your creativity, your leadership. What's the biggest lessons that you've learned throughout your career that shaped the way you approach business today?
Mm, geez. Oh gosh. It's like how many I could probably go so many directions on that. So, like we've kind of alluded to, don't sacrifice your family for making money, because I really do think that you can have both. You can have a really great family balance and you can make a lot of money. I believe that's possible. It's kind of a limiting to belief that you to think that you can have one or the other. So I would say learning that and getting that dialed in with how you spend your time. And then the second thing would be that anytime money's exchanged, and somebody's going to spend money with you,
Mm,
you have to understand that that's a human on the other side of that transaction that probably worked pretty hard for that money, and they're trusting you to do what you
mm,
said. And so everything we do for our customers is we go above and beyond. And, there's so many businesses out there that once the transaction happens, they're kind of like, oh, yeah, great, we'll get to it. But it's not as important. It's like you chase that person so hard, and now you don't really care with the same level. Like, I just think when you take good care of people, the business will always grow because that's your reputation and it's how you make people feel. And when you make people feel good doing business with you, they'll come back. Like our clients are like, could you do this for me too? Oh, and could you do this? Like they love spending money with us
yeah.
because how we treat them and the level of service that we provide.
Mhm.
So I do think that that is, especially in this day and age when everything is so automatic and there's so many bots and AI and all these great tools that are amazing tools, but you have to have that human connection. It's so
Mhm.
important.
Yeah. So what's one thing that you wish you knew when you were starting out?
Mm, well, and this is something that I'm even learning more and more is to, gosh, how can I say it in an eloquent way? Because I want to say, like, don't take any BS, but don't supplicate in yourself. Like, don't come in a supplicated position in a relationship when
Mm,
that's not how I'm wired. Like, I'm
mhm,
very sure of myself, confident. I know what I know. But I
mm,
have in certain situations where people have, paid me a nice chunk of money, been a little bit more like, oh, yeah, what would you like me to do? Blah, blah, blah. Even when I know it's not the right thing to do.
yeah.
So I would say that is always show up as your strongest self right from the beginning. That
Mm,
was something that I've had to really learn.
yeah. So what are some bottlenecks that you're currently navigating and how are you approaching them?
What was the beginning of your question? Sorry.
I said, what are some bottlenecks or challenges that you're currently navigating in your business and how are
Yeah.
you approaching them?
Yeah, it's kind of funny because it's what I help people do, and I'm like, "How hilarious is this that this is the bottleneck that I'm dealing with?" Um, is I focus so much on growing other people's businesses that I forget about doing the things that I tell them to do in my own business. So, it's like that it's all that growth, like putting out content, engaging on social media,
Mhm.
having an email going out, like having
Right.
all this stuff because it's like, I know this stuff so well, but I'm always doing it for everybody else. So then I'm like, I need a me in my own company.
That's
So
right.
yeah, it's really, I mean, I just think that that just shows I'm like, oh, God has such a funny sense of humor because what I tell everybody else to do, I also need to do.
But if
So,
you look at it this way, it's more or less like doctors. Doctor would treat you, but they can't treat themselves.
oh, yeah.
So it's yeah. So it's normal. Some way it's normal.
Yeah, yeah, it's like we used to always joke that, like, when I was growing up, the gal that would help my mom, like, clean the house and stuff, she had the dirtiest house, but it was, like, 'cause she was so busy cleaning everybody else's stuff. She's like, "I don't even wanna do that when I get home," and I think you do that in our own business and our own lives. It's just yeah, the way it kind of is, it's funny.
Yeah. So you built 100-person team before the age of 30, but many leaders are struggling to manage even 5 people. So what's the biggest leadership mistake you see entrepreneurs make when they start growing a team, and how can they fix it before it costs them momentum?
Yeah, I mean, this sounds like a simple thing, but I really think it's communication.
Right.
Everybody has a different personality type and behavioral style, And actually, we all have a lot of triggers with communication, with how we grew up or relationships we've been in or other places that we've worked, where if somebody does just one little thing that even reminds us of that subconsciously, we can be really like, or defensive or nervous, or whatever. And so I think that if, as leaders, if you get to know your people, like get to know them and understand them and how they're wired, and then you have the consciousness and the ability to speak their language versus just ordering everybody around, because that's not really leadership.
Yeah.
That's positional leadership is what that is. Like, I'm your boss, so you do what I say and like it or not. And I mean, that was something that I had to really learn and go through. And I'm sure I made a ton of mistakes. And I said things probably that were cutting that I shouldn't have. And I had to go back and say, whoa, I'm sorry. you know? But that's the biggest flaw that I see with people that
Mhm.
act teams is they don't act like they care about the people enough to get to know them and speak their language, because when you do and people know you care about them, they'll work so hard for you. I mean, they will like go to war for you if they know that you appreciate them.
Mhm. Yeah, so a lot of founders and personal brands, they feel like the only way to scale is to sacrifice their values or their authenticity. But from your experience, where do you see people going wrong when they're trying to grow their revenue, and how can they scale without losing themselves in the process?
Yeah. Well, I think that especially in like the personal brand space, people see the big dogs out there, the Tony Robbins, Ed Milet, just like those names that have been around for a while, and they try to be them.
Right.
And sometimes you find something that you like and you use it until you really find your own thing. I know that that's the beginning of it for a
Mhm.
lot of people, but
Mhm.
you really, as you get those reps and you learn what you like and don't like, you really need to be authentic, because the right people are going to be drawn to your energy, your message, your heart. And we're not put on this earth to be anybody but ourselves.
That's
So I
true.
believe that that's really important. And we're also given our story for a reason. So it's important that we share our stories, especially in the personal branding space. So that's one thing I see people do. And then from a transactional side, I see a lot of people hire like other businesses, like contractors and services
Mhm.
they don't really need to do. It's like you don't need to really spend money on that right now. Like, you can grow to a pretty dang good revenue pretty simply with like yourself and then like somebody like
Mhm.
me who's like a really great integrator and gets systems set up. But
Mhm.
sometimes they think, "Oh, I need an assistant and I needed this." It's like, "No, you don't." Like, you're not that busy yet. It's like you'll get to a point where you need these other key people put in,
Mhm.
but I think people scale from their ego instead of really what's actually best for the business.
Right. Right. So a lot of business owners are creating content, launching offers, but they're not seeing real traction in revenue or reach. What's the missing strategic shift that separates busy marketing activities from growth that actually moves the business forward?
Yeah, it's interesting because this is something that I have a lot of passion around. And it's a very simple answer, but a lot of people miss the mark because it doesn't feel good and it's kind of daunting. And I'm starting a community this month where I'm going to be like teaching this stuff within it every
Mhm.
single week. But people do things like you mentioned, creating an offer, creating a course. They're doing these creative things that feel good, but it's like then they'll go, "Oh, my sales aren't where I'm at. I need to create something new." It's like, "No, nobody knows about the thing that you just
You just
did
created.
because you're not talking to enough people. Like, nobody knows who you are." So,
Mhm.
that's how I built in, the health space, and I did it 100% organic with
Mhm.
no leads. It was all on social media because I was identifying the people I wanted to work with, and then I was talking to them, and I was trying to solve their problems. So, if you have a course, for example, just use that an example, know what problem it solves and for who, and now go talk to as many of those type of people as you can. And if you talk to enough people, the sales are going to come. Like, it's just pure math and
Yeah.
statistics. It's like you cannot go wrong if you're talking to a bunch of people. It's like, did you talk
Yeah.
to 2 people today or did you talk to 20? Who's going to build faster? The guy who talked to 20, you
Yes,
know?
sir. Yeah.
And people just a lot of times it's like they don't wanna do the work because it's uncomfortable. Because what if people think you're annoying or salesy? But it's like, well, that's what it takes. It's really what it takes to build a business.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So
So, what roles has systems, automations, or even access to funding played in helping you scale and stay consistent?
yeah, what was the first part of the list that you gave me?
Yeah. As in, what roles has systems and automations, and even access to funding played in helping you
Yeah.
scale?
Yeah, so we have not had any, outside funding, it's been pretty just, like, bootstrapped, and where how I built my business from the beginning was personal relationships, and I have a reputation in, this space, in the coaching space, and it's not like people like, I'm known as, like, some crazy expert, but just people that would meet me in other companies, they were like, "She was always on her game, she was always professional, she always showed up and did what she said," so I had a lot of reputational capital. And that's
Mhm.
what has really grown what I've done, and then those people have told other people, "Hey, reach out to them, I think they could help you." So, referrals have been the biggest part. We're now at a point I mean, we're probably, what, 15, 16 months into our business, and now we do need to leverage some stuff like paid ads, some different methods like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it goes back to the people first type of thing. That's what's built a business. And, when you get to a certain point where you're busy, you do need to have your systems dialed in. So, since that's what we do, we have that stuff all set up with automations and great systems and beautiful branding and all of that. But really, if somebody's like in the beginning of a business, like I said, talk to people. And one of the best pieces of advice I ever got was somebody told me, find somebody to pay you $10,000 and then you're going to figure out your business real quick. But some people focus all on the systems and the automations, but they don't have any customers. So it's like, once again, we're focused on the wrong things.
Right.
You have to focus on the revenue. It has to be coming in for you to be able to do a lot of that stuff. If money's
That's
not coming in, you can't go do ads. I mean, maybe if you have money in savings and whatever, but what I've found is a lot of people don't, you know? So it's like you gotta go convince somebody to work with you is what you need to do.
That's true. So at the Skilled at Show, we talk a lot about giving business owners the edge, through fully automated AI marketing systems, credit repair, business funding. So what's your take on the importance of building financial stability and automation in a company's growth strategy?
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say I'm a financial expert by any means, but I do think that you really need to know your numbers. You need to know how much money you need to be making a month to pay for your business to run, any employees, any of that stuff. Put money
Mhm.
away for taxes. A lot of people forget that because maybe they used to be W-2 and they're like, "Oh, crap." At the end of the year, they're like, "I spent all my money," but they owe taxes. So, always be putting money away because you're also gonna have months that aren't very good. So, really important to be doing that. Um and yeah, like I said, like I'm not a, great financial expert, but I think just having like smart business practices. And
Mhm.
then I would say this is something I have always done in every business is I have a bookkeeper and a CPA because I'm not a financial expert, but they are. And so you got to have people that you can lean on to know the information and give you great advice that you trust and people that understand your business because not all accountants are the same. They don't all have the same views. So I think that it's really important to have people like that
Mhm.
as a part of your team that really can point you in the right direction.
That's it. So you recently launched a new program. So tell us about it.
Yeah, so I'm so excited. I
Uh,
have a community that's starting this month, which, I don't know when this is going to air, but we're in January 2026. So in a couple weeks, we're launching it's called Against the Grain community. And it's a community for entrepreneurs. And this is a great entry foundational level for people to work with us because it's only $47 a month. I mean, like, we spend that in coffee in a week easily, right? Probably not super financially responsible, but if it makes you happy. But, anyways, so it's gonna be a weekly Zoom with me, and I'm
Mhm.
gonna be teaching for half an hour, and then I'm gonna do Q&A for about 15 minutes where people can dive in with their biggest questions. But I'm gonna be teaching sales, marketing, social media content, systems, structures, like everything that I have learned over 20 years of working in companies, scaling companies, setting up new pieces to them, launching, new products and programs. And I'm going to be breaking it down every week. And it's going to be high energy. It's going to be a great community where you can network with other entrepreneurs and get to know them. Because the thing too is when you're trying to do something and maybe your friends and family are just doing their regular, like working a job or whatever, they don't
Mm,
understand it. And they might
yes,
not be that encouraging and they don't really have advice. And so it's important for entrepreneurs to network with other entrepreneurs.
that's true.
So that's what this is really just going to be a space for. And I'm super pumped to launch this and get a lot of great people in there.
Yeah, it's interesting. It sounds very, very interesting. Yeah, so
Yeah.
finally, where can people connect with you and learn more about what you do?
Yeah, so you can go to therevenueagency.com. You can see, if you look at how you work with us, the foundations, that's that group that I just talked about. And then we have higher levels where we work with people one-on-one and really like get in the trenches with them and grow their business. So if you're interested in that, that's a great place. You can connect with me on Instagram. It's just at the Brittney Hall. And I love connecting with people on there. I'm always putting out some sort of content. Some is educational, some's funny. Some's just my life and what that looks like, and, yeah, I love connecting with people on social media.
Yeah, thank you so much, Brittany Hall, for joining us today and sharing your expertise as a co founder and also bringing in personal insights on purpose, health, balance. It's been a pleasure having you here on the Skilled Ed Show. I know that our listeners will take away powerful lessons from your story. And to everyone tuning in, thanks for listening. If you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to subscribe, leave a comment, share it with someone who needs an inspiration today. And this episode was brought to you by Nolana, helping businesses streamline their operations, automate growth, repair credit, and secure the funding they need to scale. Until next time, keep your edge, keep growing. Remember, you're not alone.
Thank you so much.
Skilled, the platform you need.